Amo Amas by John O'Keefe. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. Amo Amas, I love a lass, as a cedar tall and slender. Sweet cowslip's grace is her nominative case, and she's of the feminine gender. Rorum corum sunt divorum, harum scarum divo. Tag rag merry derry, periwig and hatband, hic hoc horum genitivo. Can I decline a nymph divine? Her voice as a flute is dulcis. Her oculus bright, her manus white, and soft when I tacto her pulse is. Rorum corum sunt divorum, harum scarum divo. Tag rag merry derry, periwig and hatband, hic hoc horum genitivo. Oh, how bella, my puella! I'll kiss secula seculorum. If I've luck, sir, she's my uxor. O dies benedictorum. Rorum corum sunt divorum, harum scarum divo. Tag rag merry derry, periwig and hatband, hic hoc horum genitivo. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
April 1844 by Ferdinand Freiligrath, 1810 to 1876. Read for LibriVox.org. April 1844. Yes, Germany is Hamlet. Lo, upon her ramparts every night there stalks in darkness, grim and slow, her buried freedom steel-clad sprite. Beckons the warder standing there, accosts the shrinking doubter, saying, "They've dropped fell poison in mine ear. Draw thou the sword, no more delaying." He listens, and his blood runs cold. The horrid truth at length laid bare drives him to be the avenger bold. But will he ever really dare? He ponders, dreams, but at his need no strengthening comes, but scruples haunting. Aye, for the prompt, courageous deed, the prompt, courageous soul is wanting. It comes from dawdling overmuch, lounging and reading. Tired to death, sloth holds him in its iron clutch. He's grown too fat and scant of breath. He spun his learned yarn alway. His best of action was but thinking. Too long in Wittenberg his stay, employed with lectures or with drinking. And so his resolution fails, he madness feigns, thus gaining time, soliloquizes too, and rails, and curses time and spite in rhyme. A pantomime must help him too, and when he does fight somewhat later, why then Polonius Kotzebue receives the stab and not the traitor. And thus he bears, thus dreamily, with secret self-contempt his pain. He lets them send him o'er the sea, and sharp in speech comes home again. Jeers right and left, his hints are dark, talks of a king of shreds and patches, but for a deed, God save the mark, no deed from all this talk he hatches. At last he gets the purpose lacked and grasps the sword to keep his vow. But 'tis in the final act, it only serves to lay him low. With those his hate has overcome, scourging at last their black demerits, he dies, and then with tuck of drum comes Fortinbras, and all inherits. Thank God, we're not yet come to this. The first 4 acts have been played through. See lest the parallel there is be in the 5th act borne out too. Early and late we hope and pray. O hero, come! No more delaying. Gird up your loins. Act while you may, the spectre's urgent call obeying. Oh, seize the moment, strike today! There still is time, fulfil your part, Ere with his poisoned rapiers play, A French Laertes find your heart. Let not a northern army clutch Your rightful heritage beforehand. Oh, look to it! I doubt me much If this time it will come from Norland. Resolve, and be fresh courage born. Enter the lists, make good your boast, Think on the oath that you have sworn. Avenge, avenge your father's ghost. Why ponder thus eternally? Yet dare I scold? I, ancient dreamer, am after all A piece of thee, thou ever loitering, lingering schemer. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Beat, Beat, Drums by Walt Whitman. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. Beat, beat, drums, blow, bugles, blow. Through the windows, through doors, burst like a ruthless force into the solemn church and scatter the congregation, into the school where the scholar is studying. Leave not the bridegroom quiet, no happiness must he have now with his bride, nor the peaceful farmer any peace, ploughing his field or gathering his grain. So fierce you whir and pound, you drums, so shrill you bugles blow. Beat, beat, drums, blow, bugles, blow. Over the traffic of cities, over the rumble of wheels in the streets. Are beds prepared for sleepers at night in the houses? No sleepers must sleep in those beds. No bargainers' bargains by day, no brokers or speculators. Would they continue? Would the talkers be talking? Would the singer attempt to sing? Would the lawyer rise in the court to state his case before the judge? Then rattle, quicker, heavier, drums, you bugles, wilder, blow. Beat, beat, drums, blow, bugles, blow. Make no parley, stop for no expostulation. Mind not the timid, mind not the weeper or prayer. Mind not the old man beseeching the young man. Let not the child's voice be heard, nor the mother's entreaties. Make even the trestles to shake the dead where they lie awaiting the hearses. So strong you thump, O terrible drums, so loud you bugles blow. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Borrowing Brains by Charles William Wallace. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Lend me your brains, lend me your brains, screeched a highwayman goblin, way down in his throat, as deep as he ever could dig up a note. And his whole gang creaked and hoarsely squeaked, like a hinge that was rusty and constantly streaked. Lend us your brains, lend us your brains, as they seized my mare's head at the bit by the reins. And a long-haired loon with a razory spoon clipped open my scalp just over my crown, and the skull the same place, running crosswise and down, and they hinged the two pieces with screechy brass bands, where they singed off my hair by the touch of their hands. And oh, the pains, the pains, the pains, when they flapped down the cover just back of my brains. My mother came by with a heart-rending cry, and a wretch popped his eyes from the crown of his hat, as he squealed, "You'll never again do that!" And he sharpened his spoon on the sole of his shoon, did the long-beard lout by the liquidy moon. And he severed her brain and her heart in twain, while the rest held me there in my helpless pain. And the long-beard loons with their long-eared spoons stood up on the top of my topless crown, and then leaped to the depths of the hollow turned down. Oh, they teetered and twinged on the part that was hinged, and they shrieked with delight till the very air cringed, as they sang in their glee how smart they would be when they got all my brains in their noddles, you see. And they reached their long spoons, their reachy old loons, way into the cavity made in my head. and scraped till they thought I was dead. Oh, the pains, the terrible pains when they spooned from my skull every speck of my brains. Then with spoons for their prize dragged both of my eyes through that hole in my head of such terrible size. Oh, they thought they would be such poets, you see, and such wonderful, marvelous scholars, you know, when they planted my brains in their noddles to grow. But what fools they were, though! For poets, you know, are like underdone dough. And what fools they were, though, when they planted my brains in their noddles to grow. But they crammed every grain till their ill-gotten gain clear down in the pokes of their pocket-like ears, and turned over my eyes to their sages and seers. But they soon rued that they had the brains I had had, for they drove every one of them stark staring mad. For the goblins, you see, went crazy like me, as mad as a March hare ever could be. To my greatest surprise they brought back my eyes, and put them both back as they always had been. Since thought made them crazy, as each one had seen, they restored me my brains with the greatest of pains, and handed me back my mare's bridle reins. Then away and up through the atmosphere flew, and left me as sound and as solid as new. And there was no loon with a goblin spoon, and there never has been and never will be. Whether or not this happened to me, it needn't at all happen this way to all. But whatever you do, or whatever befall, unless the goblins get your nightmare's reins, don't ever, nor ever, go lending your brains. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Broken-Hearted Gardener by John Ashton. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. I'm a broken-hearted gardener, and don't know what to do. My love, she is inconstant, and a fickle jade, too. One smile from her lips will never be forgot. It refreshes like a shower from a watering pot. Chorus. Oh, she's a fickle wild rose, a damask, a cabbage, a young China rose. She's my myrtle, my geranium, my sunflower, my sweet majoram, my honeysuckle, my tulip, my violet, my hollyhock, my dahlia, my mignonette. We grew up together like two apple trees, and clung to each other like double sweet peas. Now they're going to trim her and plant her in a pot, and I'm left to wither, neglected and forgot. She's my snowdrop, my ranunculus, my hyacinth, my gilliflower, my polyanthus, my heart's ease, my pink water lily, my buttercup, my daisy, my daffy-down-dilly. I'm like a scarlet runner that has lost its stick, or a cherry that's left for the dickey to pick. Like a water-pot I weep, like a pavior I sigh, like a mushroom I'll wither, like a cucumber die. I'm like a humble bee that doesn't know where to settle, and she's a dandelion and a stinging nettle. My heart's like a beetroot choked with chickweed, and my head's like a pumpkin running to seed. I'm a great mind to make myself a felidacy, and finish all my woes on the branch of a tree. But I won't, for I know at my kicking you'd roar, and honor my death with a double encore. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Captives by Ernest Hemingway. Read for LibriVox.org by Rujula Vikram. Captives. Some came in chains, unrepentant but tired, too tired but to stumble. Thinking and hating were finished. Thinking and fighting were finished. Retreating and hoping were finished. 'Twas thus a long campaign, making death easy. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Condemned by Edward Howland. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Read me no moral, priest, upon my life. Reserve that for your flock. A few short hours will end my mortal strife upon the gallows block. Before the gaping crowd who come to see a fellow mortal die, preach if you choose, and take your text from me. To them I cannot lie. And still the less can I, a finite man, pretend to cheat my God. By him the workings of his mighty plan are clearly understood. Conceived in lust, brought up in sordid sin, how could I hope to be aught but the outcast I have ever been, fruit for the gallows tree? Go teach the children, swarming through the town, today exposed to all, the poverty and vice that drew me down. Save them before they fall. But as for me, I die as I have lived, as all men must, believing, as I always have believed, that God is just.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Curfew by Severn Tearcol Wallace. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Ah, why, when life's dim eve comes on, should hearts once warm grow cold? And why should sighs for feelings gone make up our breath when old? 'Tis true, the happy light that fell on board and hearth of yore went out when evening's tyrant bell the curfew's warning bore. But oh, it is not thus the heart should hear the voice of time, not thus its cheerful light depart at sound of evening's chime. For me, kind fate, forbid that air, that dismal tocsin toll, in whose sad discord I shall hear the curfew of the soul.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Dejection by Severn Tearcol Wallace. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. O God, to see the swelling stream of happiness roll on, to count the blessed barks that gleam in morning's flush and evening's beam, each on its journey gone, and feel that by the lonely shore mine creeps, a laggard still, while not a breeze that blew of yore comes back with freshness as before, its drooping sails to fill. Oh, say not to me to deride that of that better day, in waste, in passion, or in pride, unmindful of the fleeting tide, I flung the hours away. Not mine the weakness or the sin of golden chances spurned. To toil and hope is not to win. We end not all that we begin, nor gather all we've earned. There's not a poisoned seed we sow of folly or of crime, but surely will to rankness grow and bear its certain fruit of woe in its appointed time. But from the germs of better things we planted in our youth, how few the flowers that summer flings, how rare the fruit that autumn brings to bless our trust and truth. Men hold it ill at fate to rail when all is ruled by heaven, but when e'en at our best we fail, and trim we as we will our sail, on rocks and shoals we're driven, though we may feel 'tis heaven's high plan, and bend beneath our lot. Yet if we be no more than man, resigned we may be, if we can, contented we are not. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Farewell by Charles Kingsley. Read for LibriVox.org by Ike Sherr. My fairest child, I have no song to give you. No lark could pipe to skies so dull and grey. Yet, if you will, one quiet hint I'll leave you for every day. I'll tell you how to sing a clearer carol than lark who hails the dawn on breezy down, to earn yourself a purer poet's laurel than Shakespeare's crown. Be good, sweet maid, and let who will be clever. Do noble things, not dream them all day long, and so make life and death and that forever one grand, sweet song. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
For Two Birthdays by Aline Kilmer. Read for LibriVox.org by Malinda Skinner on May 17th, 2021 in Las Vegas. For Two Birthdays. Whenever I light the candles for your birthday, my memory lights two more. Two ghostly candles burning with your candles where hers burned once before. Whenever I see you at your birthday table, across from you I see a gentle ghost that sits among us laughing adorably. She would have been the gayest at the party. She always was the gladdest thing on earth. Now she is gayer still, for she is taken into celestial mirth. With God and all the saints and all the angels, she shares her birthday cake. So let us keep your birthday and candles burning joyously for her sake. This was recorded for LibriVox and is on an open domain.
Fragmentary Blue by Robert Frost. Read for LibriVox.org by N.R. Collard. Why make so much of fragmentary blue, in here and there a bird or butterfly or flower or wearing stone or open eye, when heaven presents in sheets the solid hue? Since earth is earth, perhaps not heaven as yet, though some savants make earth include the sky, and blue so far above us comes so high, it only gives our wish for blue a wet. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Fra Lippo Lippi by Robert Browning. Read for LibriVox.org by Joanna Michael Hoyt. I am poor brother Lippo, by your leave. You need not clap your torches to my face. Zooks, what's to blame? You think you see a monk? What? 'Tis past midnight, and you go the rounds, and here you catch me at an alley's end where sportive ladies leave their doors ajar. The Carmene's my cloister. Hunt it up, do. Harry out, if you must show your zeal, whatever rat there haps on his wrong hole, and dip each softling of a wee white mouse, wee, wee, that's crept to keep him company. Aha, you know your betters. Then you'll take your hand away that's fiddling on my throat, and please to know me likewise. Who am I? Why, one, sir, who is lodging with a friend 3 streets off. He's a certain, how do you call, Master, Cosimo of the Medici. He's the house that caps the corner. Pah, you were best. Remember and tell me the day you're hanged how you affected such a gullet scrape. But you, sir, it concerns you that your knaves pick up a manner nor discredit you. Zooks, are we pilchards that they sweep the streets and count fair prize what comes into their net? He's Judas to a tittle, that man is. Just such a face! Why, sir, you make amends. Lord, I'm not angry. Bid your hangdogs go drink out this quarter floor into the health of the munificent house that harbours me, and many more beside, lads, more beside, and all's come square again. I'd like his face. Yes, elbowing his comrade in the door with the pike and lantern, for the slave that holds John Baptist's head a dangle by the hair with one hand. Look you now, as you should say, and his weapon in the other yet unwiped. It's not your chance to have a bit of chalk, a wood coal or the like, or you should see. Yes, I'm the painter, since you style me so. What, Brother Lippo's doings, up and down, you know them, and they take you? Like enough. I saw the proper twinkle in your eye. Tell you, I liked your looks at very first. Let's sit and set things straight now, hip to haunch. Here's spring come, and the nights one makes up bands to roam the town and sing out carnival, and I've been 3 weeks shut within my mew a-painting for the great man, saints and saints and saints again. I could not paint all night. Oof! I leaned out of window for fresh air. There came a hurry of feet, little feet, a sweep of lute strings, laughs, and whiffs of song. Flower o' the broom, take away love, and our earth is a tomb. Flower o' the quince, I let Lisa go, and what good is life since? Flower o' the time, and so on. Round they went. Scarce had they turned the corner when a titter like the skipping of rabbits by moonlight, 3 slim shapes and a face that looked up. Azooks, sir, flesh and blood, that's all I'm made of. Into shreds it went, curtain and counterpane and coverlet, all the bed furniture. A dozen knots, there was a ladder. Down I let myself, hands and feet, scrambling, somehow, and so dropped. And after them. I came up with the fun hard by St. Lawrence, hail fellow, well met. Flower o' the rose, if I've been merry, what matter, who knows? And so, as I was stealing back again to get to bed and have a bit of sleep ere I rise up tomorrow and go work on Jerome knocking at his poor old breast with his great round stone to subdue the flesh, you snap me of the sudden. Ah, I see. Though your eye twinkles still, you shake your head. Mine's shaved. A monk, you say? What stings in that? If Master Cosimo announced himself, mum's the word, naturally. But a monk? Come, what am I a beast for? Tell us now. I was a baby when my mother died, and father died and left me in the street. I starved there, God knows how, a year or 2 on fig skins, melon parings, rinds, and shucks, refuse and rubbish. One fine frosty day, my stomach being empty as your hat, the wind doubled me up and down I went. Old Aunt Lapatia trussed me with one hand, its fellow was a stinger, as I knew, and so along the wall, over the bridge, by the straight cut to the convent. 6 words there, while I stood munching my first bread that month. So, boy, you're minded, quoth the good fat father, wiping his own mouth, it was refection time, to quit this very miserable world. Will you renounce? The mouthful of bread, thought I. By no means. Brief, they made a monk of me. I did renounce the world, its pride and greed, palace, farm, villa, shop, and banking-house, trash such as these poor devils of Medici have given their hearts to, all at 8 years old. Well, sir, I found in time, you may be sure 'twas not for nothing. The good bellyful, the warm surge, and the rope that goes all round, and day-long blessed idleness besides. Let's see what the urchin's fit for. That came next. Not overmuch their way, I must confess, such a to-do. They tried me with their books. Lord, they'd have taught me Latin in pure waste. Flower o' the clove, all the Latin I construe is amo I love. But mind you, when a boy starves in the streets 8 years together, as my fortune was, watching folks' faces to know who will fling the bit of half-stripped grape bunch he desires, and who will curse or kick him for his pains, which gentleman processional and fine holding a candle to the sacrament will wink and let him lift a plate and catch the droppings of the wax to sell again, or holla for the 8 and have it whipped. How say I? Nay, which dog bites? Which lets drop his bone from the heap of offal in the street? Why, soul and sense of him grow sharp alike. He learns the look of things, and none the less for admonition from the hunger pinch. I had a store of such remarks, be sure, which after I found leisure turned to use. I drew men's faces on my copy-books, scrawled them within the antiphonary's marge, joined legs and arms to the long music notes, found eyes and nose and chin for A's and B's, and made a string of pictures of the world betwixt the ins and outs of verb and noun, on the wall, the bench, the door. The monks looked black. "Nay," quoth the prior, "turn him out, do you say? In no wise. Lose a crow and catch a lark. What if at last we get our man of parts, we Carmelites, like those Camaldolese and preaching friars, to do our church up fine and put the front on it that ought to be?" And hereupon he bade me daub away. Thank you, my head being crammed, the walls a blank, never was such prompt disemburdening. First every sort of monk, the black and white, I drew them, fat and lean. Then folk at church, from good old gossips waiting to confess their cribs of barrel droppings, candle ends, to the breastless fellow at the altar foot fresh from his murder, safe and sitting there with the little children round him in a row of admiration, half for his beard and half for that white anger of his victim's son, shaking a fist at him with one fierce arm, signing himself with the other because of Christ, whose sad face on the cross sees only this after the passion of 1,000 years, till some poor girl, her apron o'er her head, which the intense eyes looked through, came at eve on tiptoe, said a word, dropped in a loaf, her pair of ear-rings and a bunch of flowers the brute took growling, prayed, and so was gone. I painted all, then cried, "'Tis ask and have, choose, for more is ready," laid the ladder flat, and showed my covered bit of cloister wall. The monks closed in a circle and praised loud till checked, taught what to see and not to see, being simple bodies. "That's the very man!" "Look at the boy who stoops to pat the dog." "That woman's like the prior's niece who comes to care about his asthma." "It's the life!" But there my triumph's straw fire flared and funked. The betters took their turn to see and say. The prior and the learned pulled a face and stopped all that in no time. "How? What's here?" "Quite from the mark of painting, bless us all. Faces, arms, legs, and bodies like the true as much as P and P. It's devil's game. Your business is not to catch men with show, with homage to the perishable clay, but lift them over it, ignore it all, make them forget there's such a thing as flesh. Your business is to paint the souls of men, man's soul, and it's a fire, smoke, no, it's not, it's vapor done up like a newborn babe. In that shape when you die it leaves your mouth. It's, well, what matters talking? It's the soul. Give us no more of body than shows soul. Here's Giotto, with his saint a-praising God that sets us praising. Why not stop with him? Why put all thoughts of praise out of our head with wonder at lines, colours, and what not? Paint the soul, never mind the legs and arms. Rub all out, try at it a second time. Oh, that white smallish female with the breasts. She's just my niece. Herodias, I would say.
Who went into else and got men's heads cut off.
Have it all out. Now, is this sense, I ask? A fine way to paint soul, by painting body so well the eye can't stop there. Must go further and can't fare worse. Thus yellow does for white when what you put for yellow's simply black, and any sort of meaning looks intense when all besides itself means and looks not. Why can't a painter lift each foot in turn, left foot and right foot, go a double step, make his flesh liker and his soul more like, both in their order? Take the prettiest face, the prior's niece, patron saint. Is it so pretty you can't discover if it means hope, fear, sorrow, or joy? Won't beauty go with these? Suppose I've made your eyes all right and blue. Can't I take breath and try to add life's flash, and then add soul, and heighten them threefold? Or say there's beauty with no soul at all. I never saw it. Put the case the same. If you get simple beauty and naught else, you get about the best thing God invents. That's somewhat. And you'll find the soul you've missed within yourself when you return him thanks. Rub all out. Well, there's my life in short, and so the thing has gone on ever since. I've grown a man, no doubt, I've broken bounds. You should not take a fellow 8 years old and make him swear to never kiss the girls. I'm my own master, paint now as I please, having a friend, you see, in the corner house. Lord, it's fast holding by the rings in front. Those great rings serve more purposes than just to plant a flag in or tie up a horse. And yet the old schooling sticks, the old grave eyes are peering o'er my shoulder as I work, the heads shake still. It's art's decline, my son. You're not of the true painters, great and old. Brother Angelico's the man you'll find. Brother Lorenzo stands his single peer. Fag on it, flesh, you'll never make the third. Flower o' the pine, you keep your manners, and I'll stick to mine. I'm not the third, then. Bless us, they must know. Don't you think they're the likeliest to know, they with their Latin? So, I swallow my rage, clench my teeth, suck my lips in tight and paint to please them. Sometimes do and sometimes don't.
For doing most, there's pretty sure to come a turn some warm eve finds me at my saint's.
A laugh, a cry, the business of the world. Flower o' the peach, death for us all, and his own life for each. And my whole soul revolves, the cup runs over. The world and life's too big to pass for a dream, and I do these wild things in sheer despite, and play the fooleries you catch me at in pure rage. The old mill horse out at grass after hard years throws up his stiff heels so, although the miller does not preach to him the only good of grass is to make chaff. What would men have? Do they like grass or no? May they or mayn't they? All I want's the thing settled forever one way. As it is, you tell too many lies and hurt yourself. You don't like what you only like too much. You do like what, if given you at your word, you find abundantly detestable. For me, I think I speak as I was taught. I always see the garden, and God there a making man's wife. And my lesson learned, the value and significance of flesh, I can't unlearn 10 minutes afterwards. You understand me. I'm a beast, I know. But see now! Why, I see as certainly as that the morning star's about to shine what will hap some day. We've a youngster here comes to our convent, studies what I do, slouches and stares and lets no atom drop. His name is Gidi. He'll not mind the monks. They call him Hulking Tom. He lets them talk. He picks my practice up. He'll paint apace, I hope so. Though I never live so long, I know what's sure to follow. You be judge. You speak no Latin more than I, belike. However, you're my man. You've seen the world. The beauty and the wonder and the power. The shapes of things, their colors, lights and shades, changes, surprises. And God made it all. For what? Do you feel thankful, aye or no, for this fair town's face, yonder river's line, the mountain round it and the sky above?
Much more the figures of man, woman, child that these are framed to.
What's it all about? To be passed over, despised, or dwelt upon, wondered at. Oh, this last, of course, you say. But why not do as well as say? Paint these just as they are, careless what comes of it. God's works. Paint any one, and count it crime to let a truth slip. Don't object, his works are here already. Nature is complete. Suppose you reproduce her, which you can't, there's no advantage. You must beat her then. For don't you mark? We're made so that we love first when we see them painted, things we have passed perhaps 100 times nor cared to see. And so they are better painted, better to us, which is the same thing. Art was given for that. God uses us to help each other so, lending our minds out. Have you noticed now your Colleen's hanging face? A bit of chalk, and trust me, but you should, though. How much more if I drew higher things with the same truth? That were to take the prior's pulpit place, interpret God to all of you. Oh, it makes me mad to see what men shall do and we in our graves. This world's no blot for us, nor blank. It means intensely, and means good. To find its meaning is my meat and drink.
Aye, but you don't so instigate to prayer, strikes in the prior. When your meaning's plain, it does not say to folk, remember matins, or mind you fast next Friday.
Why, for this what need of art at all? A skull and bones, 2 bits of stick nailed crosswise, or, what's best, a bell to chime the hour with does as well. I painted a St. Lawrence 6 months since at Prato, splashed the fresco in fine style. How looks my painting now the scaffold's down, I ask your brother. Hugely, he returns. Already not one fizz of your 3 slaves who turned the deacon off his toasted side, but scratched and prodded to our heart's content. The pious people have so eased their own
with coming to say prayers there in a rage.
We get on fast to see the bricks beneath. Expect another job this time next year. For pity and religion grow in the crowd. Your painting serves its purpose. Hang the fools. That is, you'll not mistake an idle word spoken a huff by a poor monk. God wot, tasting the air this spicy night, which turns the unaccustomed head like Chianti wine. Oh, the church knows. Don't misreport me now. It's natural a poor monk out of bounds should have his apt word to excuse himself. And hearken how I plot to make amends. I have bethought me. I shall paint a piece. There's for you. Give me 6 months, then go, see something in Sant Ambrogio's. Bless the nuns, they want a cast of my office. I shall paint God in the midst, Madonna and her babe, ringed by a bowery, flowery angel brood, lilies and vestments and white faces, sweet as puff on puff of grated orris root when ladies crowd to church at midsummer. And then in the front, of course, a saint or two. St. John, because he saves the Florentines. St. Ambrose, who puts down in black and white the convent's friends and gives them a long day. And Job, I must have him there past mistake, the man of us, and us without the Z, painters who need his patience. Well, all these secured at their devotion, up shall come out of a corner when you least expect, as one by a dark stair, into a great light, music, and talking. Who but Lippo? I, mazed, motionless, and moonstruck. I'm the man. Back I shrink. What is this I see and hear? I caught up with my monk's things by mistake, my old serge gown and rope that goes all round. I, in this presence, this pure company. Where's a hole? Where's a corner for escape? Then steps a sweet angelic slip of a thing forward, puts out a soft palm. Not so fast, addresses the celestial presence. Nay, he made you and devised you after all, though he's none of you. Could St. John there draw? His camel hair make up a painting brush. We come to Brother Lippo for all that. Iste perfecit opus. So, all smile, I shuffle sideways with my blushing face under the cover of 100 wings thrown like a spread of kirtles when you're gay and play hot cockles, all the doors being shut, till, wholly unexpected, in there pops the hot-head husband. Thus I scuttle off to some safe bench behind, not letting go the palm of her, the little lily thing that spoke the good word for me in the nick, like the prior's niece, St. Lucy, I would say. And so all's saved for me, and for the church a pretty picture gained. Go 6 months hence. Your hand, sir, and goodbye. No lights, no lights. The street's hushed, and I know my own way back. Don't fear me. There's the grey beginning. Zooks! End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Friends by Abby Farwell Brown. Read for LibriVox.org by Ike Sherr. How good to lie a little while and look up through the tree. The sky is like a kind big smile bent sweetly over me. The sunshine flickers through the lace of leaves above my head and kisses me upon the face like mother before bed. The wind comes stealing o'er the grass to whisper pretty things, and though I cannot see him pass, I feel his careful wings. So many gentle friends are near, whom one can scarcely see. A child should never feel a fear, wherever he may be. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ghosts of a Lunatic Asylum by Stephen Vincent Benet. Read for LibriVox.org by Colleen McMahon. Here, where men's eyes were empty and as bright as the blank windows set in glaring brick, when the wind strengthens from the sea, and night drops like a fog and makes the breath come thick, by the deserted paths, the vacant halls, one may see figures, twisted shades and lean, like the mad shapes that crawl an Indian screen, or paunchy smears you find on prison walls. Turn the knob gently. There's the thumbless man, still weaving glass and silk into a dream, although the wall shows through him, and the Khan journeys cafe beside a paper stream. A rabbit woman chitters by the door. Chilly the grave smell comes from the turned sod. Come, lift the curtain, and be cold before the silence of the 8 men who were God. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
I Am, Yet What I Am by John Clare. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. I am. Yet what I am, who cares or knows? My friends forsake me like a memory lost. I am the self-consumer of my woes. They rise and vanish, an oblivious host, shadows of life, whose very soul is lost. And yet I am, I live. Though I am tossed into the nothingness of scorn and noise, into the living sea of waking dream, where there is neither sense of life nor joys, but the huge shipwreck of my own esteem and all that's dear. Even those I love the best are strange, nay, they are stranger than the rest. I long for scenes where man has never trod, for scenes where woman never smiled or wept, there to abide with my Creator, God, and sleep as I in childhood sweetly slept, full of high thoughts unborn. So let me lie, the grass below, above the vaulted sky. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Idealist by Frederick Henry Hedge, 1805 to 1890. Read for LibriVox.org. The Idealist. Hath this world without me wrought other substance than my thought? Lives it by my sense alone, or by essence of its own? Doth yon fireball, poised in air, hang by my permission there? Are the clouds that wander by but the offspring of mine eye, born with every glance I cast, perishing when that is past? And those thousand eyes scattered through the twinkling skies, do they draw their life from mine, or of their own beauty shine? Now I close my eyes, my ears, and creation disappears. Yet if I but will the view, all creation lives anew. Or, more wonderful, within new creations do begin, hues more bright, and forms more rare than the world of sense doth wear, pass before the inner eye, born of its own sufficiency. Visions come and visions go. What is substance? What is show? Is the world of sense more stable than the world which dreamers fable? Will its life, with mine begun, vanish quite when that is done? Or another consciousness with the selfsame forms impress? Will those stars no longer blaze when these eyes have ceased to gaze? And the joys of things be o'er when these pulses beat no more? Thought, that in me stirs and lives, life to all things living gives, art thou not thyself, perchance, but the universe in trance? A reflection inward flung by that world thou fanciest sprung from thyself a dream, of the world's thinking thou the theme? Be it thus, or be thy ray offspring of interior day? Thought, through thee alone for me hath this world reality, therefore in thee will I live, to thee all my being give, losing still that I may find this boundless self in boundless mind. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
An Irish Lullaby by Alfred Percival Graves. Read for LibriVox.org by Ike Sherr. I've found my bonny babe a nest on slumber tree. I'll rock you there to rosy rest, Astor McCree. Oh, lallaloo, sing all the leaves on slumber tree, till everything that hurts or grieves afar must flee. I've put my pretty child to float away from me, within the new moon's silver boat on slumber sea. And when the starry sail is o'er from slumber sea, my precious one, you'll step to shore on mother's knee. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Juvenile Hymn by Eliza R. Snow. Read for LibriVox.org by Matt Crawford. I'll serve the Lord while I am young, and in my early days devote the music of my tongue to my Redeemer's praise. I praise his name that he has given me parentage and birth among the most beloved of heaven that dwell upon the earth. O Lord, my parents here preserve to teach me righteousness, that my young feet may never swerve from paths of holiness. And like the faithful ones of old, who now behold thy face, may I be formed in virtue's mold to fill a holy place. While youth and beauty sweetly twine their garlands round my head, I'll seek at wisdom's sacred shrine the gems that never fade. Long may I sing thy praises here, among thy saints below, and in eternity appear with them in glory too. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Little Peach by Eugene Field. Read for LibriVox.org by mleigh. A little peach in the orchard grew, a little peach of emerald hue. Warmed by the sun and wet by the dew, it grew. One day passing that orchard through, that little peach dawned on the view of Johnny Jones and his sister Sue, them two. Up at that peach a club they threw, down from the stem on which it grew fell that peach of emerald hue. Mon Dieu! John took a bite and Sue a chew, and then the trouble began to brew. Trouble the doctor couldn't subdue. Too true. Under the turf where the daisies grew, they planted John and his sister Sue, and their little souls to the angels flew. Ooh, ooh. What of the peach of the emerald hue, warmed by the sun and wet by the dew? Ah, well, its mission on earth is through. Adieu. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Lonely Burial by Stephen Vincent Benet. Read for LibriVox.org by Colleen McMahon. There were not many at that lonely place, where two scourged hills met in a little plain. The wind cried loud in gusts, then low again. 3 pines strained darkly, runners in a race unseen by any. Toward the further woods, a dim, harsh noise of voices rose and ceased. We were most silent in those solitudes. Then, sudden as flame, the black-robed priest, the clotted earth piled roughly up about the hacked red oblong of the new-made thing, short words in sword-like Latin, and a rout of dreams most impotent, unwearying. Then, like a blind door shut on a carouse, the terrible bareness of the soul's last house. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Love Me If I Live by Barry Cornwall. Read for LibriVox.org by Jade, Leah Pilling. Love me if I live, love me if I die. What to me is life or death, so that thou be nigh. Once I loved thee rich, now I love thee poor. Ah, what is there I could not for thy sake endure? Kiss me for my love, pay me for my pain. Come and murmur in my ear how thou lovest again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Memorabilia by Robert Browning. Read for LibriVox.org by Rujula Vikram. Memorabilia. Ah, did you once see Shelley playing? And did he stop and speak to you? And did you speak to him again? How strange it seems, and new. But you were living before that, and also you were living after. And the memory I started at? My starting moves your laughter. I crossed a moor with a name of its own, and a certain use in the world, no doubt. Yet a hand's breadth of it shines alone, mid the blank miles round about. For there I picked upon the heather, and there I put inside my breast a molted feather, an eagle feather. Well, I forget the rest. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Midges Dance by Thomas Latto, read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Written at sunset on the banks of a stream. See how they wheel their varying reel above the glassy stream. No cares harass their happy life, which passes like a dream. No jealousies intrude to mar their fleeting hour of joy. Precedence claims no empire here, nor rank nor pride annoy. Lightly they skim on filmy wing, eager the dance they ply. Their chandelier the evening star, their ballroom is the sky. Their music is the mavis song poured from a hazel spray. The sable minstrel of the brake responsive mends his lay. Half lost among the fleecy clouds, I hear a cadence shrill. The songster's hid, but well I know the treble fife-like trill. And wearied bees among the trees are softly murmuring by. To bind the whole, the ring-dove's coo deepens the melody. Then wheel away, ye dancers gay, for here alone I see License without a taint of sin, a guiltless revelry. I've stood in many a crowded hall, and turned from beauty's glance. Oh, would to heaven these scenes were all pure as the Midges Dance. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Music by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. Let me go where'er I will. I hear a sky-born music still. It sounds from all things old. It sounds from all things young. From all that's fair, from all that's foul, peals out a cheerful song. It is not only in the rose, it is not only in the bird, not only where the rainbow glows, nor in the song of woman heard, but in the darkest, meanest things. There alway, alway, something sings. 'Tis not in the high stars alone, nor in the cup of budding flowers, nor in the red breast's mellow tone, nor in the bow that smiles in showers, but in the mud and scum of things. There alway, alway, something sings. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
My Star by Robert Browning. Read for LibriVox.org by Rujula Vikram. My Star. All that I know of a certain star is it can throw like the angled spar, now a dart of red, now a dart of blue, till my friends have said they would fain see too my star that dartles the red and the blue. Then it stops like a bird, like a flower hangs furled. They must solace themselves with the Saturn above it. What matter to me if their star is a world? Mine has opened its soul to me, therefore I love it. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Nero's Incendiary Song by Victor Hugo. Read for LibriVox.org by mleigh. ami ennui nous tue. A weary unto death, my friends, a mood by wise abhorred. Come to the novel feast I spread, thrice consul, Nero, Lord. The Caesar, master of the world and eke of harmony, who plays the harp of many strings, a chief of minstrelsy. My joyful call shall instantly bring all who love me most, for ne'er were seen such arch delights from Greek or Roman host, nor at the free controlless jousts where spite of cynic vaunts, austere but lenient Seneca no Ercles bumper daunts, nor where upon the Tiber floats Aglae and galley gay, 'neath Asian tent of brilliant stripes in gorgeous array, nor when to lutes and tambourines the wealthy prefect flings a score of slaves their fetters wreathed to feed grim greedy things. I vow to show ye Rome aflame, the whole town in a mass. Upon this tower we'll take our stand to watch the wildered pass. How paltry fights of men and beasts here be my combatants. The 7 hills my circus form, and fiends shall lead the dance. This is more meet for him who rules to drive away his stress. He, being God, should lightnings hurl and make a wilderness. But haste, for night is darkling, soon the festival it brings. Already see the hydra show its tongues and sombre wings, and mark upon a shrinking prey the rush of kindling breaths. They tap and sap the threatened walls and bear uncounted deaths, and 'neath caresses scorching hot the palaces decay. Oh, that I too could thus caress and burn and blight and slay. Hark to the hubbub, scent the fumes. Are those real men or ghosts? The stillness spreads of death abroad. Down come the temple posts. Their molten bronze is coursing fast and joins with silver waves to leap with hiss of 1,000 snakes where Tiber writhes and raves. All's lost in jasper, marble, gold. The statues totter, crash. Spite of the names divine engraved, they are but dust and ash. The victor scourge sweeps swollen on, whilst north winds sound the horn, to goad the flies of fire yet beyond the flight forlorn. Proud Capitol, farewell, for ere these flames not can subdue. The aqueduct of Scylla gleams, a bridge o'er hellish rue. 'Tis Nero's whim, how good to see Rome brought the lowest down. Yet, Queen of all the earth, give thanks for such a splendrous crown. When I was young, the Sibyls pledged eternal rule to thee, that Time himself would lay his bones before thy unbent knee. Ha, ha! How brief indeed the space ere this immortal star shall be consumed in its own glow and vanished, oh, how far! How lovely conflagrations look when night is utter dark! The youth who fired Ephesus' fane falls low beneath my mark. The pangs of people when I sport, what matters? See them whirl about as salamanders frisk and in the brazier curl. Take from my brow this poor rose crown, the flames have made it pine. If blood rains on your festive gowns, wash off with Cretan wine. I like not overmuch that red. Good taste says gild a crime. To stifle shrieks by drinking songs is, thanks, a hint sublime. I punish Rome, I am avenged. Did she not offer prayers? Erst unto Jove, laid unto Christ, to e'en a Jew she dares. Now in thy terror own my right to rule above them all. Alone I rest, except this pile I leave no single hall. Yet I destroy to build anew, and Rome shall fairer shine. But out, my guards, and slay the dolts who thought me not divine. The stiff-necks haste, annihilate, make ruin all complete. And slaves bring in fresh roses, what odor is more sweet? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ode to Solitude by Alexander Pope. This is a LibriVox recording. Recording by FoxSox. Happy the man whose wish and care a few paternal acres bound, content to breathe his native air in his own ground. Whose herds with milk, whose fields with bread, whose flocks supply him with attire, whose trees in summer yield him shade, in winter fire. Blessed who can unconcernedly find hours, days, and years slide soft away, in health of body, peace of mind, quiet by day. Sound sleep by night, study and ease, together mixed, sweet recreation, and innocence, which most does please with meditation. Thus let me live, unseen, unknown, thus unlamented let me die, steal from the world, and not a stone, tell where I lie. Ode on Solitude by Alexander Pope. This is public domain.
The Old Bachelor by Thomas Latto, read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. I loved thee in life's early day, even in my wildest glee. How oft I left my boyish play to think and dream of thee. I wandered by the lonely sea, I fancied thee my own, and sighed and wished a king to be, that thou mightst share my throne. I worshipped thee in manhood's prime, I lived but in thy breath, nor thought of chance or change or time, my love was strong as death. Another came with vows of faith, and worthy too of thine. Thou wert my fondest hope on earth, and yet thou wert not mine. I have not yet forgot to sigh, although my hair be grey, but love thee dear and fervently, as in my childhood's day. I see thy children sporting gay, even now around my door. Fond foolish thoughts, away, away, she loved another more. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
You Are Old, Father William by Lewis Carroll, read for LibriVox.org. You are old, Father William, the young man said, and your hair has become very white, and yet you incessantly stand on your head. Do you think at your age it is right? In my youth, Father William replied to his son, I feared it might injure the brain, but now that I'm perfectly sure I have none, why, I do it again and again. You are old, said the youth, as I mentioned before, and have grown most uncommonly fat. Yet you turned a back somersault in at the door. Pray, what is the reason for that? In my youth, said the sage as he shook his grey locks, I kept all my limbs very supple by the use of this ointment, 1 shilling a box. Allow me to tell you a couple. You are old, said the youth, and your jaws are too weak for anything tougher than suet. Yet you finished the goose with the bones and the beak. Pray, how did you manage to do it? In my youth, said his father, I took to the law and argued each case with my wife, and the muscular strength which it gave to my jaw has lasted the rest of my life. You are old, said the youth. One would hardly suppose that your eye was as steady as ever. Yet you balanced an eel on the end of your nose. What made you so awfully clever? I have answered 3 questions, and that is enough, said his father. Don't give yourself airs. Do you think I can listen all day to such stuff? Be off, or I'll kick you downstairs. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Old Ship Church by Crawford Jackson. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Old Ship Church, First Parish, Hingham, Massachusetts, built in 1681, said to be the oldest church in the United States where continuous services have been held. Old Ship Church. Be mine, thy throb of pulsing heart, old ship, when sermon, song, and prayer were wont to hold, and guide the fathers pioneers of old. The men who held the truth with steadfast grip, thine own appeal to God from heart and lip, inspired by earnest men who ne'er cajoled, who sang their hymns within that saintly fold, with all their worship free from vulgar slip. Old ship, the church that made the ship of state, who trained aright thy maidens and thy lads, and lived thy simple life all free from fads. Thou madest America beloved and great. Sail on, old ship, and sweep the farthest sea, and save the souls of men eternally. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
On Death by Thomas Sturge Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Arden, June 3rd. On Death. Why question what my thoughts of death may be? Behold, 'tis autumn in yon poplar mass, whose green ripples to silver breezily dangle pale yellow leaves like lemons large. And lo, beyond there, what has come to pass? Suave haze and sunshine from its utmost marge have taken London to their mighty keeping, which, self-forgetful, smiles in glory sleeping. And here has she flown down whom children charge, fly away home, and busily is creeping, a scurrying carnelian on my sleeve. O lady bird, be gone. We men forebode, stay, thou wilt ne'er believe, nor spoil glad hours, whilst yet their sands run on. Self-questioned ignorance yields no reply, and thus there grows an aching in our ear, which stir of insect wings can magnify, and hear whole flights of angels o'er their vans. Nothing is silent when the heart will hear. All echoes answers, yet the thought is man's. Not a new thought brings not new knowledge, never breaks on the silence where his brain dwells ever, nor peoples that vast night the mind's eye scans, nor can prized beauties from what pains love sever. Wise, heartless lady bird, hear thou, thy home is burnt, thy children flown. Yet be not less industrious to roam the infant's hand who makes such harsh things known. When to the mightiest man death did draw near, he shut himself within his bathing hall, and lent to his great admiral his ear, who told the voyage on the Indian main. The first by Grecian captains dared, that all the glamour of unconquered seas might reign over the greatest conqueror's spirit failing. By the Bass side, he, picturing them sailing, was as he had been in his youth again, conversed of conquest nigh as when unailing, and pleased his captains, yet grew worse once more. Soon in a deep trance sank his anxious Macedonians at the door, then would not be gainsaid, but, rank by rank, in single file were ushered past his bed. His Indian and Egyptian veterans, past mute, were satisfied he was not dead. Unarmed they passed, and many a tear let fall. Man, he had one more than had erst been man's, till each owned him the embodied soul of all. And lo, they saw him vanquished, helpless, dying, so childishly their hearts were in them crying. He no more moved, nor for one friend did call, yet 2 days lay, as all had seen him lying. Then on the 10th day of his fever, on the 28th of June, died, and from what vast schemes the life was gone, which up and down far lands like wrecks lay strewn. His end was beautiful, though from vile cause, a surfeit at a feast, his fever came. Alaric's grave likewise commands applause, though he sacked Rome and Italy trod under. His captives, by those careful of his fame, were forced to turn Calabrian torrents' thunder, and in the dry bed delve a sepulchre, and house his trophies and his ashes there. But when the stream, which their hard toil did sunder, resumed his haughty course, then all they were, slaughtered in thousands on his rocky shores, that what they knew might be, kept by their lips, as by his thunderous roars, blank bellow, secret to eternity. The morning after Goethe's death I yearned to look upon his well-known form once more. So writes that friend who to his house returned. Stretched on his back he seemed to sleep, while fraught with peace, profound security reigned o'er his mien. That grand brow still might harbor thought. By one white sheet the naked form was hidden. Large lumps of ice lay round it. Then, unbidden, his man the linen from the body caught, and laid bare what since 80 years was hidden. I was astounded, so magnificent, the limbs, the breast's broad slant, was arched and powerful, the arms and thighs unspent, and muscular, the feet were elegant. Nowhere was any trace of fat, and none of leanness or decay. A perfect man, in all his beauty lay before me. One moment, enraptured at the sight, might I forget that blood therein no longer ran, and on his breast my thoughtless hand might lie, ere me to horror stillness could awaken. But then I turned away, by sobs rude shaken, and gave free course to tears. Ah, wrought so high, we are revered or cherished from us taken, by eloquent grief's passion wrapped, may deem that beauty finds in death merest defeat. Yet sometimes tombs will seem to echo angel voices, hoard swung censers' breath. 'Tis known how on her bridal morn one died, greatly beloved, most beautiful and young. She lay there on the white quilt in their pride. Flowers were strewn, fresh opened, scented, glowing. Purple anemones together flung, with crimson pheasant eyes, one hand unknowing. A pressed green mignonette, the other fern, embowered, near forget-me-nots did yearn, 'neath poppies crushed, like mimic sconces blowing. Orange set her brow round with lamps to burn, while stricken, her poor bridegroom, hour by hour, tear-blind, stared at her face. Yet calmed by beauty, awed by sovereign power, one could have thanked death, though one dared not praise. Such scenes concern but us who linger here. What their own death was to themselves none knows. Heard they are wailing as the insect's ear lists to the children's chant, a mere vague sound, while calmly she, since life within her glows, is on her present occupation bound. Though all death's dreaded pain and hope for glory be nursed of us as children hug a story, e'en croon one o'er the beetle they have found. Fair lie old snows upon the mountains hoary. Imagination must teach us to die, must age and death enhance, and give to both a value clear and high, or fail and leave us to blank ignorance. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Paradox by Paul Laurence Dunbar. Read by Darrell Nobles. I am the mother of sorrows. I am the ender of grief. I am the bud and the blossom. I am the late falling leaf. I am thy priest and thy poet. I am thy serf and thy king. I cure the tears of the heartsick. When I come near, they shall sing. White are my hands as the snowdrop. Swart are my fingers as clay. Dark is my frown as the midnight. Fair is my brow as the day. Battle and war are my minions, doing my will as divine. I am the calmer of passions, peace is the nursling of mine. Speak to me gently, or curse me, sink me or fly from my sight. I am thy fool in the morning, thou art my slave in the night. Down to the grave I will take thee, out from the noise of the strife. Then shalt thou see me and know me, death then no longer but life. Then shalt thou sing at my coming, kiss me with passionate breath, clasp me and smile to have thought me aught save the foeman of death. Come to me, brother, when weary, come when thine lonely heart swells. I'll guide thee footsteps and lead thee down where the dream woman dwells. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Pedagogue's Proposal by Thomas Latto. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Old Bushby, sighing for a mate, addressed the fair Miss Swine. Pray, madam, shall we conjugate? No, doctor will decline. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Phantoms by Julius Sturm, 1816 to 1896. Read for LibriVox.org. Phantoms. I sat and studied late benighted beside the lamp my room that lighted, and though my eyes were weary sore, still turned the pages o'er and o'er. When at my window came a tapping, I don't believe in spirit rapping, and yet so high my window's range, the tapping could not but seem strange. I peered into the night before me, where through the trees the moon shone o'er me. Below the nightingale sang clear, all else was silent everywhere. Yet scarce again had I been seated, when straight the tapping was repeated. I oped the window wide, that free the tapper's entrance then might be. And sudden through the window hurrying, two brown and buzzing sprites came scurrying, May beetles who were vexed. 'Twas plain that I within doors should remain, still o'er my books my brain employing, and not to be out with them enjoying the beauty of the mild May night, its fragrant flowers, its starlight bright. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Poet's Song to His Wife by Barry Cornwall. Read for LibriVox.org by Jade Leah Pilling. How many summers, love, have I been thine? How many days, thou dove, hast thou been mine? Time, like the winged wind, when it bends the flowers, hath left no mark behind to count the hours. Some weight of thought, though loath, on thee he leaves, some lines of care both perhaps he weaves. Some fears, a soft regret, for joy scarce known, sweet looks we half forget, all else is flown. Ah, with what thankless heart I mourn and sing! Look, where our children start, like sudden spring, with tongues all sweet and low, like pleasant rhyme. They tell how much I owe to thee in time. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Poor Devil by Stephen Vincent Benet. Read for LibriVox.org by Colleen McMahon. Well, I was tired of life, the silly folk, the tiresome noises, all the common things I loved once crushed me with an iron yoke. I longed for the cool quiet in the dark, under the common sod where louts and kings lie down, serene, unheeding, careless, stark, never to rise or move or feel again, filled with the ecstasy of being dead. I put the shining pistol to my head and pulled the trigger hard. I felt no pain at all. The pistol had missed fire, I thought. Then, looking at the floor, I saw my huddled body lying there, and awe swept over me. I trembled and looked up. About me was, not that, my heart's desire, that small and dark abode of death and peace, but all from which I sought a vain release. The sky, the people, and the staring sun glared at me as before. I was undone. My last state, 10 times worse than was my first. Helpless I stood, befooled, betrayed, accursed, fettered to life forever, horribly, caught in the meshes of eternity, no further doors to break or bars to burst. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Smoke Upon Your Altar Dies by Rudyard Kipling. This is a LibriVox recording. The smoke upon your altar dies. The flowers decay. The goddess of your sacrifice has flown away. What profit then to sing or slay the sacrifice from day to day? We know the shrine is void, they said, the goddess flown. Yet wreaths are on the altar laid, the altar stone is black with fumes of sacrifice, albeit she had fled our eyes. For it may be, if still we sing and tend the shrine, some deity of wandering wing may there incline, and finding all in order meet, stay while we worship at her feet. The Smoke Upon Your Altar Dies by Rudyard Kipling. This is public domain.
The Star Splitter by Robert Frost. Read for LibriVox.org by Joanna Michael Hoyt. You know, Orion always comes up sideways, throwing a leg up over our fence of mountains, and, rising on his hands, he looks in on me busy outdoors by lantern light with something I should have done by daylight. And indeed, after the ground is frozen, I should have done before it froze. And a gust flings a handful of waste leaves at my smoky lantern chimney to make fun of my way of doing things, or else fun of Orion's having caught me. Has a man, I should like to ask, no rights these forces are obliged to pay respect to? So Brad McLaughlin mingled reckless talk of heavenly stars with hugger-mugger farming, till, having failed at hugger-mugger farming, he burned his house down for the fire insurance and spent the proceeds on a telescope to satisfy a lifelong curiosity about our place among the infinities. "What do you want with one of those blamed things?" I asked him well beforehand. "Don't you get one?" "Don't call it blamed. There isn't anything more blameless in the sense of being less a weapon in our human fight," he said. "I'll have one if I sell my farm to buy it." There where he moved the rocks to plow the ground, and plowed between the rocks he couldn't move, few farms changed hands. So, rather than spend years trying to sell his farm, and then not selling, he burned his house down for the fire insurance and bought the telescope with what it came to. He had been heard to say by several, "The best thing that we're put here for is to see. The strongest thing that's given us to see with a telescope. Someone in every town, seems to me, owes it to the town to keep one. In Littleton it may as well be me." After such loose talk, it was no surprise when he did what he did and burned his house down. Mean laughter went about the town that day to let him know we weren't the least imposed on, and he could wait. We'd see to him tomorrow. But the first thing next morning we reflected if one by one we counted people out for the least sin, it wouldn't take us long to get so we had no one left to live with. For to be social is to be forgiving. Our thief, the one who does our stealing from us, we don't cut off from coming to church suppers, but what we miss we go to him and ask for. He promptly gives it back, that is, if still uneaten, unworn out, or undisposed of. It wouldn't do to be too hard on Brad about his telescope. Beyond the age of being given one's gift for Christmas, he had to take the best way he knew how to find himself in one. Well, all we said was he took a strange thing to be roguish over. Some sympathy was wasted on the house, a good old-timer dating back along. But a house isn't sentient. The house didn't feel anything. And if it did, why not regard it as a sacrifice, and an old-fashioned sacrifice by fire instead of a new-fashioned one at auction? Out of a house, and so out of a farm at one stroke, of a match, Brad had to turn to earn a living on the Concord Railroad, as under-ticket agent at a station where his job, when he wasn't selling tickets, was setting out up track and down, not plants as on a farm, but planets, evening stars that varied in their hue from red to green. He got a good glass for $600. His new job gave him leisure for stargazing. Often he bid me come and have a look up the brass barrel, velvet black inside, at a star quaking in the other end. I recollect a night of broken clouds and underfoot snow melted down to ice, and melting further in the wind to mud. Bradford and I had out the telescope. We spread our 2 legs as we spread its 3, pointed our thoughts the way we pointed it, and, standing at our leisure till the day broke, said some of the best things we ever said. That telescope was christened the Star Splitter, because it didn't do a thing but split a star in 2 or 3, the way you split a globule of quicksilver in your hand with one stroke of your finger in the middle. It's a star splitter if there ever was one, and ought to do some good if splitting stars is a thing to be compared with splitting wood. We've looked and looked, but after all, where are we? Do we know any better where we are, and how it stands between the night to night and a man with a smoky lantern chimney? How different from the way it ever stood. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To Sydney by Louise Mack. Read for LibriVox.org by Leanne Coe. City I never told you yet, O little city, let me tell a secret woven of your wiles. Dear city with the angel face, and you will hear with frowning grace, or will you break in summer smiles? This is the secret little town, lying so lightly towards the sea. City, my secret has no art, dear city with the golden door, but oh, the whispers I would pour into your ears, into your heart. You are my lover, little place, lying so sweetly all alone, and yet I cannot tell my secret, for the voice will break that tries to tell of all the ache of this poor heart beneath your spell. Dreaming I tell you all my tale, tell how the tides that wash your feet sink through my heart and cut its cords. Dreaming I hold my arms and drag all into my heart, the flag on the low hill turned harbourwards, and all the curving little bays, the hot dust-ridden narrow streets, the languid turquoise of the sky, the gardens flowing to the wave, I drag them in. O city, save the grave for me where I must lie. Yet humbly I would try to build stone upon stone for this town's sake. Humbly would try for you to aid those whose wise love for you will rear white monuments far off and near, white but unsoiled, undesecrate. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Taoist Song by Chi Kang. Translated by Arthur Whaley. This is a LibriVox recording. Recording by FoxSox. I will cast down wisdom and reject learning. My thoughts shall wander in the great void. Always repenting of wrongs done will never bring my heart to rest. I cast my hook in a single stream, but my joy is as though I possessed a kingdom. I lose my hair and go singing. To the 4 frontiers men join me in my refrain. This is the purport of my song. My thoughts shall wander in the great void. Taoist Song by Chi Kang. Translated by Arthur Whaley. This is public domain.
To One Unknown by Helen Ducky. Read for LibriVox.org by Rujula Balloon. I have seen the proudest stars that wander on blue space, even the sun and moon, but not your face. I have heard the violin, the winds and waves rejoice in endless minstrelsy, yet not your voice. I have touched the trillium, pale flower of the land, coral anemone, and not your hand. I have kissed the shining feet of twilight lover wise, opened the gates of dawn, oh, not your eyes. I have dreamed unwanted things, visions that witches rule, spoken with images, never with you. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The West by Francis Borton. Read for LibriVox.org by Leanne Coe. Along our blue Sierra's wall no mouldering castles rest, but there the redman's thunderbird hath built his lonely nest. No hoary donjons foul with crime oppress the good clean sod, where live oaks meet with knotted arms the blazing bolts of God. Instead of doubtful titles stamped on pride's dimmed vellumed page, the sullen grizzly here hath left the claw marks of his rage. No silken halls, no softness here, no courtiers false as hell, but from the echoing granite gorge the panther's deadly yell. Here laws unflattering, primal, harsh, the desert's scorching breath. Here thorn, fang, claw, and scalping knife, the crimson trail of death. And what are man-made kings and courts with cheap brief honours set, where in the red raw clay of things God's thumbprints yet are wet? Amid these awful solitudes, with skies so still and blue, are held such deadly fierce debates as minstrels never knew. Here howling winds of ocean meet the wild winds of the sky, while vast dim shapes from desert wastes their spirals wheel on high. Cliff calls to cliff, the avalanche replies in thunders loud, while shafts of blinding lightning split the swirling inky cloud that bursts and ploughs the mountains down the salt plain's hissing sands, till fresh-torn canyon gulfs reveal earth's granite swaddling bands. And here are men, sons of thy strength, O western land of mine, gay, tender, careless, swift, and wild, but upright as the pine. Serene, clear-eyed, of Spartan speech, the breed of men out here, who have trailed with hunger, thirst, and death, but never met with fear. The wide free winds are in their hearts, the deep-voiced torrents roar, the solemn stillness of the woods beside the lonely shore. They need no finger-posts for faith, no self-sure go-between. They look God in the face and smile, their rugged hearts are clean. They pluck the grey wolf from his den, they tire the grizzly down, or peacefully their harvests reap along the foothills brown. They beat the mountain into dust, they burst its ribs apart. Their laughter rings Homeric when they clutch its golden heart. Alone they win the chill, still heights, by mountain sheep untrod. They gaze abroad, they bare their brows and shout, Hurrah for God! O little folk, who cringe and hedge, who cannot understand, they tread a broader trail than yours across our sunset land, where man is kin to peak and star, the wide plain's lonely space, where oft they ride so close to God, they meet him face to face. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Wild Animals I Have Met by Carolyn Wells. Read for LibriVox.org by mleigh. The Lion. I've met this beast in drawing rooms, 'mong ladies gay with silks and plumes. He looks quite bored and silly too, when he's held up to public view. I think I like him better when alone I brave him in his den. The Bear. I never seek the surly bear, but if I meet him in his lair, I say, "Good day, sir, sir, good day," and then make haste to get away. It is no pleasure, I declare, to meet the cross, ill-natured bear. The Goose. I know it would be of no use to say I'd never met a goose. There are so many all around, with idle look and clacking sound, and sometimes it has come to pass I've seen one in my looking-glass. The Duck. This merry one with laughing eyes, not too sedate nor over-wise, is best of comrades, frank and free, a clever hand at making tea, a fearless nature full of pluck. I like her well, she is a duck. The cat. The cat's a nasty little beast. She's seen it at many a fete and feast. She's spiteful, sly, and double-faced, exceeding prim, exceeding chaste, and while a soft, sleek smile she wears, her neighbor's reputation tears. The puppy. Of all the animals I've met, the puppy is the worst one yet. Clumsy and crude, he hasn't brains enough to come in when it rains. But with insufferable conceit, he thinks that he is just too sweet. The kid. Kids are the funniest things I know. Nothing they do but eat and grow. They're frolicsome, and it is said they eat tin cans and are not dead. I'm not astonished at that feat, for all things else I've seen them eat. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.